On the table here I have a pair of waterproof motorcycling gloves. In this video I'm going to review the product, how it's been working for me so far. I've been using these for about 3 months, after which the product spectacularly failed. In this video I'll tell you how. I will also share with you what works. So it's gonna be even-handed, but the reason why I only used the product for 3 months is because it failed on 3 counts. So let's take it from the top and start with the brand and the model. The brand is visible on the cuff here. It's branded under the name Joe Rocket. The word Rocket is on the cuff as well as on the palm here, as well as it's on a tag inside the cuff under the drawstring here. Joe Rocket. So far so good. That's the branding. Now, I didn't find the model designation on the adjacent tag here. This is all I have, the list of materials. But this Joe Rocket only has one waterproof glove, which also features a generous cuff, a drawstring, various Velcro closures. So this is their model named Meteor, if I'm not mistaken. Meteor as in shooting star. Their only waterproof motorcycling glove. So let's take a look at some of the features, the things that work. I really like the big, generously sized cuff on the gloves because they can be configured 2 ways, for cold weather and for rainy weather. For cold weather you want the cuffs to be extended, like so, generously extended, so you can have the base layer is on you, your mid layer is on you, your jacket is on you, so everything can be tucked here into the cuff, so the onrush of cold air can be deflected on top of these layers. I hope that makes sense. Now the cuff can be reconfigured for rainy weather riding, in which case you don't want all of your jacket and the outer shell leading the rainwater into the glove here. That's not really productive. So for rainy days this needs to be shortened, or the cuff needs to be made as tight as possible, like so, with the draw cord, with the closure on it, and you can make it as tight as you need it around your wrist, whatever you're comfortable with. It still needs to be baggy for some heat retention and insulating properties, and so you don't want to make it super tight around you, but when you make the cuff tighter you have to have your outer shell on your jacket run on the outside of the cuff. So all this needs to be tucked into your jacket's sleeve, so your sleeve extends here to about this point, and all the water running down on your jacket can drip down at your wrist, not inside your gloves. Okay, I hope that makes sense. It's a really good feature that this cuff can be reconfigured because it's baggy enough in cold weather and rainy riding configurations. Also, that helps for visibility are these highlights here in reflective strips, and there are these nice knuckle pads, soft pads over your knuckles, which I prefer instead of hard plastic bits. These are more follow the contours of your body. I like these soft touches here on your fingers, really nice for insulating, keep you free of arthritis as much as possible in the cold weather. The glove also features a padded palm here with a gel pad, which is nice for dampening the vibration or mitigating some of the ill effects of vibration. The leather palm is holding up really well. This is my clutch hand. There's no wear visible or appreciable. A little bit of shiny whatever, that's normal, but the stitching is holding up. Maybe not so much the tips of the gloves here, but more about the synthetic material in just a minute. So that's how the left hand side looks like. So those are features that work, that make this glove a really well thought out design. What doesn't work about the glove is visible here on this side. This is my throttle hand. So this was the clutch hand, this is the throttle hand with the, on my Kawasaki ZX6 2014 model year, the throttle, the wet rubber throttle that's that the motorcycle comes with. I didn't change anything on it. I don't have heated grips, nothing is aftermarket about the either the throttle or the grips on the clip-on handlebars. So this is how the glove looks like. I lost the padding that was here, but even if I had it, it would be of no use to anybody whatsoever. So these just disintegrated in contact with the wet rubber grips at the end of the handlebar. Why they disintegrated is possibly due to the friction, minimal amount of friction, because the throttle hand needs to be repositioned or moved around. I don't know, the clutch hand also needs to be moved around on the grips, but I wore both gloves together for the same length of time on the same motorcycle with identical grips on the handlebars. So, and one of them disintegrated, the throttle hand. So I really don't have a material scientist explanation why this synthetic material looks like this, but this is garbage. So that's why I threw it in the corner after about 3 months of use. Now, the amount of rain that comes down in the Pacific Northwest here is spectacular, and that's going to be important for, so that's failure number one. So the amount of rain is about 1200 millimeters here, Vancouver, Vancouver Island, Seattle, Pacific Northwest, Oregon, we're talking. The torrential rainpours or downpours that we have in terms of rain at sea level is about 1200 millimeters in a year, with 7-8 months of rain, about 170 rainy days. So weather forecasting here is fairly straightforward. Everyday rain. Throw in some drizzle or a couple of winter storms, everyday overcast, that's it. So for 8 months of the year. And in those, so it's not just wet for 20 minutes twice a month. No, it's pouring every day. Okay, so those are the conditions. The gloves are used in the Pacific Northwest here, and that's the resultant action here on the palms. Fail number two, it's not waterproof. The waterproof Meteor gloves are not waterproof. The membrane that's between the shell, which is the leather stitched together with the nylon that makes the outer shell on the glove, between the outer shell and the inner lining, which is, or liner, which is a synthetic material like this. The waterproof membrane, which is maybe made of something plasticky like this, I really don't know. I have not taken it apart. So maybe it leaks along the stitches, or I don't know where, but the gloves are not waterproof. That's end of story. They work for 20 minutes. They do not work for more than an hour. So we're talking Pacific Northwest downpours here, and after an hour they are not only waterlogged, they also leak in physically. Not from the jacket trickling down into the cuff, no, the whole thing. So it's not waterproof. Problem number three, which is not really not necessarily a complete failure, but the gloves are too thin. The material is really not too thin, and when it gets waterlogged, it gets cold everywhere. Water is wicking away body heat 40 times faster than just cold air alone. So I'm using BMW gloves instead of this, because this leaks like a sieve and is too thin. The BMW gloves are like a gauntlet type, much thicker everywhere, and actually waterproof. Now with these thinner gloves I have more dexterity, more manual dexterity, because the glove is thinner, so more tactile feel. I can get out of these thinner gloves than from the really thick BMW glove, which is like yeah, really thick, really nice, really warm, but I lose quite a bit of fine motor skills with those gloves because it's thicker. So whether being thin or a little thicker is a detrimental feature, is up to discussion how much manual dexterity you prefer to get out of a pair of gloves. But in the Pacific Northwest here, they're too thin for my liking. When they are waterlogged, they are cold. So those are the three things that don't work on these gloves. I'm interested in and willing to post an updated review to this, such as titled something like warranty claim results outcome, I don't know, something with Joe Rocket. If Joe Rocket has an update to this, I'm interested in communicating with them. As is, I'm not saying don't buy anything from Joe Rocket ever, but hey, you can do your own thinking. You're a grown person.